So let's talk about the ticket prices again. You kind of mentioned that live events and folks like that would have been involved in it, and you guys would have been involved in it. Do they make suggestions to Vince, and do they have like data? I'm just curious, when you get a report like this, like here's the census data, here's what the economics are, here's the median household income. Is there any sort of scientific process put into this, or is, well, hell, $5 sounds good, let's do that?
No, we compare ourselves. We would constantly compare ourselves to Ringling Brothers. We compare ourselves to the Globetrotters. We looked at what the local market, if they had a basketball team, what their prices were. And we tried to be, for the most part, especially in a market like San Antonio, that we were going to come into this huge event. We wanted to be family friendly as well. And we wanted to be affordable. And when you hear people talk about trying to go take a family of 4 to a live event, it's almost cost prohibitive.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make it affordable for families and for kids, and want to get as many people in there as we could, make it affordable.
So even though they draw a big house here with 60,000 butts and seats, they're still well shy of the 71,000 folks that they had promoted on television, and some of the top sections are tarped off for TV, and you can briefly see them on the show, but I feel like you guys did a really good job shooting around it. And Cornette famously said, this was a stadium that needed a show and not a show that needed a stadium. And I just think that's a brilliant way to put it. Was that the common feeling amongst any of the office, that this is a big task to try to fill this up, and it was all hands on deck to worry about marketing and strategies and angles, and everybody's got to be at their best and sharpen their pencils?
Sure. I mean, that's a cute way of saying it, and it's accurate. But it's, yeah, without a doubt, man, Vince wanted that son of a bitch sold. We were going to do whatever we had to do to sell it.
Fink would announce on the show that the attendance was actually lower than the real number. Surprise, surprise there. We've talked about attendance enough. I don't want to get off on that again, but he announces 60,477 compared to 60,525. And that's the number that both Cornette and Meltzer have. They have the exact same figures for the attendance and gate, and you can draw your own conclusions there.
I wonder who got it from who.
Roll Tide. Meltzer would report after the show that these figures all topped even the most optimistic expectations within the company. So I want you to kind of respond to that, Bruce, and talk me through, what the inner circle thought was realistic and what the expectation was, who was for it, who was against it, what did the talent think, anything you remember.
We were looking for, I think everyone would have been happy if we had done 50,000 people. And of course we wanted to fill the damn thing. We would love to put 70,000 plus in there, but realistically, I think we would have been happy if we did 50,000. And that would have looked good.
Let me ask this. Perception is reality, and it is a lot about expectation. In hindsight, would it have made more sense to just pound 50,000 people on TV and say 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, 50,000, and then announce 60,000 as opposed to say 71, 71, 71, 71, and then announce 60?
No. Why would you do that? You want to do 71,000, it holds 71,000, so you want to plug 71,000. Had we done it the other, had we done okay, the 50,000, then the Meltzers of the world would, well, they're not confident in their show at all. They only are going to put 50,000 in there. You're damned if you do and damned if you don't. We wanted to sell it out. We wanted to promote selling the damn thing out. We wanted to promote, come be a part of history, come be a part of a record-breaking crowd.
But here's what I'm saying. If you tarp part of the shit off and you say you're setting it up for 50,000, then you can claim a sellout. Why would you not want, if you really want to sell it out and you have the ability to tarp something off for the staging, or
why would you go in with the fetus attitude that we're only going to do 50,000?
Because you didn't do 71.
We did 60.
Okay. This is fun. Once the show actually comes off and you guys are kind of happy that you exceeded that expectation, and there's a lot of damn butts in the seats, can you tell us who was surprised and who had the, I don't know, I told you so swagger about this?
I don't know. There was, well, okay, I take that back.
Vince had it.
I don't know if there's anybody that had a swagger. Some of us might have, because coming from Texas and trying to explain to people in New York what the hell a walk-up is. I would look, man. I'll say it. I was extremely confident that we would have a good walk-up. I was confident that they would come at the last minute, and I was never worried. I was never concerned that we would not have a decent walk-up the last couple days of the event.
All right, Bruce. Well, let's talk about the walk-up thing. I wanted to cover that. Meltzer offered some really fun perspective about walk-up, and he says that historically Lucha Libre shows didn't have a big walk-up, and in the last few days you guys sold more than 20,000 tickets, and he attributes a lot of that to something we'll cover in a minute. But explain what a walk-up buy is and how promoters feel about it, because, you know, it's interesting to me that in Mexico, kind of everything's a walk-up. But here in America, if there's not a big advance sale, people start to get nervous. Am I right?
Yes, they do. But I would dispute. I think that Meltzer's completely wrong if he said that Lucha Libre is not a walk-up. Because I remember when we ran Houston, Texas, and we ran Houston, Texas with television every single week.
Maybe I said that wrong. I don't think I did, but he said that Lucha Libre is a walk-up. Yeah, Lucha Libre, yeah. He said, is a walk-up.
It is a walk-up.
Yeah.
And we used to run Houston on a Friday night with the traditional stars that were on TV every week and that had a lot of promotion. And guys used to come in. Jose Lothario used to promote Sundays in the same building, and he would only promote in the Hispanic community, in the bars, and in a local Hispanic community, and do an all lucha show and outdraw us on Friday night. So historically, especially in South Texas, the walk-up, if you had a Hispanic on top in particular, it was always there. They came at the last minute. They supported their heroes, very loyal audience, and you could count on them. And I didn't have, and San Antonio has a huge Hispanic population, and historically San Antonio, for Joe Blanchard, for Fritz von Erich, for everybody that ran there on a regular basis, historically was a big walk-up town. Now, the Northeast, man, it's all about that advance. And I could, going back, which one day we may talk about Houston wrestling, but I could go back in Houston wrestling, and I could tell you almost within 50 people. That's scary. I could tell you a house based on the advance on Friday for the house that night, what the walk-up would be and what the house would be. I could tell you within about 50 people, give or take. And you just become used to it. You're able to gauge the interest in the audience. And in South Texas, big walk-up town, San Antonio, historically a big walk-up town. And we played to that by going to sponsors and doing the $5 tickets, $5 off your tickets.
All right, let's talk about that since you brought it up. Dave attributes a lot of these last-minute sales to what he called millions of discount coupons that were printed. And a lot of these tickets that were sold, he says, were at the $5 and $7 mark. So apparently locals could pick up these coupons for discounts on their ticket at Taco Bell. And they were selling, these tickets are going almost as fast as they're printed with this coupon concept. I just have to ask, Taco Bell in San Antonio, is this a rib?
No, Taco Bell's huge in San Antonio. They have a ton of Taco Bells in San Antonio, and Taco Bell came on as a sponsor for us.
Who was in charge of putting together deals like that?
God, at that time, While you
think about that, let me run through this. Meltzer also notes that the local TV, radio, and newspapers were flooded with advertising for the event. And all over Southeast Texas, you could see coupons for the show on cans of Dr. Pepper and at every single Taco Bell, and they even changed all of the syndicated challenge shows in the market to have customized commentary, pushing not only the show, but where you could get these discounted coupons. So this seems like you're saying, like a sponsor, like go buy Dr. Pepper, go buy Taco Bell. So it's kind of mutually beneficial. But this type of push means that Vince has placed a lot of importance on the show. And I'm just curious how deals like a Taco Bell or a Dr. Pepper would have come about back then. And while you're thinking about that, do you remember this coupon concept for any other big shows like this? Because I'm not super aware of any other time that you guys did it in this big of a way.
Sure, they did it in Pontiac Silverdome, too. They did the coupons, and we've done it in a lot of places where we've wanted to draw a large crowd, and we just wanted a lot of people there. So we've done it before. It wasn't something new. And the idea behind it was we had Taco Bell willing to pay for it.
So you
offset, we had Taco Bell,
some of the ticket prices that you lose.
You're offsetting it. Also, they're paying for all the marketing.
Right.
So they're paying, all the marketing and advertising, the newspaper, the television. Same thing with Dr. Pepper. They were doing the marketing for us. They were advertising. So every time you walked into a convenience store, there was a setup, Alamo Dome, Royal Rumble, and the date, and a big picture of Sean. And
WWF didn't pay for that.
That was stuff we couldn't buy.
Taco Bell paid for that, or Dr. Pepper
paid Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper paid for all that.
Wow.
And then we got money from it as well to be able to use our likenesses. So we were getting advertising, sponsorship money, plus they were doing the marketing for us, and they were distributing these coupons, what have you, and they were doing a lot of the product placement with our guys all over town. So yeah, we did it. Also, to the individual markets, we customized all of our markets, especially when we were coming in with a pay-per-view with customized commentary. That wasn't unique to San Antonio. That was unique to if we had big events there.
I'm saying this was custom because it pushed the sponsors on the show.
Anytime, but we did that in every market where we ran live events and where we had big events coming in. We did that in every market.
Give me an idea of how the local radio and TV budgets are determined to promote shows. I know you just said you got a lot of stuff here gratis, but like in 2016, you may not know how they do it, but back in the day, what was like the rule of thumb? Was there a hard and fast rule of thumb for what a local promoters would have a budget for radio and TV?
There was, and I don't know the numbers, and I'm not going to tell you what the numbers is. I don't know. There was a budget. There were budgets that they had to go in and get their ad spend, whether it be radio, television. They bought time within our program, in and around our programming, but within our programming, we had our own localized spots that we ran in the event centers and different things that we made specific for each market. But we didn't do anything outside of radio and newspaper back, especially in this time. We might run a few basic cable spots and with local cable providers and things of that nature. But the local promoters, this was a national promotion, so the office, they had a budget. I don't know what it was.
Would it surprise you to hear that in Huntsville 3 years ago, their radio budget for a house show was $1,500?
Yeah.
That's low or high?
Low.
That's what I heard.
That sounds low, but
Meltzer offered some fun perspective here, saying the only larger paid attendance for a show in the United States was WrestleMania 3. So that really puts it in perspective, when you're talking about the success of this show, that this is only behind WrestleMania 3 as far as attendance in the United States. Of course, he says that show drew approximately 78,000 fans, but only 75,000 paid. And he also says that the WWF had topped the 40,000 paid mark on at least 3 other occasions outside the United States, 2 in Canada. One was Hogan and Orndorff. The other was WrestleMania 6. And then 1 in England, of course, for SummerSlam 92. He says WrestleMania at the Hoosier Dome drew 62,167 fans, which is slightly more than the Alamo Dome.
It was 168.
But the paid attendance was less at the show because it was substantially papered. I can tell you're fired up about that. The Rumble Gate still broke the all-time Texas state record, which was set back in May of '84 for the Flair Kerry Von Erich title change at Texas Stadium. That one drew 32,123 fans, which was the previous state record, and a house or a gate of 402,000. Bruce, did you watch this '84 Texas Stadium show? Do you remember that one?
I remember it. I saw the world-class stuff at the time here and there. We didn't get it in Houston, so I would see tapes here and there.
Doesn't seeing it so empty hurt the overall experience? I mean, 32,000 is a big house, but in that stadium, it looks like nothing.
Yeah, it does, and that's simply from the way they shot it and how it was presented on television. If they had put everybody on one side and they shot it for TV, but they didn't, and the promoters were more interested in what was the house, how much did we make. They didn't care what the hell it looked like. There were actually 32,000 people there, then they were happy, and they got the gate from that. So that's all they really cared about at that time.
Meltzer says, considering how much money was spent in advertising on those two respective shows, this was a long way from being the most profitable house show in Texas. By any account, the paid and total crowd were huge successes for the WWF, which by all accounts did perhaps its best job ever when it comes to local promotion of a show. So when Meltzer's putting something over like this, saying it's the best job ever for local promotion, you guys did a hell of a job for this.
I thought we did. I mean, we busted our ass. We had people on the ground, and we took the same team that was responsible for promoting WrestleManias each year, and they were on the ground to promote the Royal Rumble as if it were a WrestleMania.
Do you think this is the best promotion for a non-WrestleMania show ever up to that point? Do you agree with that?
Up to that point, yes.
Just for frame of reference, when we talked about ticket prices earlier, saying that tickets were $175, $18, $14, and $10, WrestleMania 3 tickets, the bottom price was $9. So 10 years later, different market, different show, blah, blah, blah. It's only $1 more for the cheapest ticket.